Hello and welcome to the Morningstar Journal News Weekly Roundup. I'm Caleb Havanka, your host, and today we're going to discuss the top 5 news articles of the week. Let's begin. Number 5. China cracks down on Hong Kong's religious freedoms. All religious buildings in China have been locked down since COVID began. Hong Kong authorities reimposed pandemic lockdowns from early January until this week amid China's COVID outbreak. The Chinese government controls religious organizations by forcing them to register and submit to the leadership of approved patriotic religious entities. For several years, the Christian church in Hong Kong was spared, but recent actions taken against Hong Kong's Christian churches are aiming to restrain religious freedom. So really, this is nothing new. I mean, corrupt governments all across the world have been using this pandemic, they've been using COVID as an excuse to shut down churches and restrict religious freedoms. Notice how it says religious organizations have to be patriotic religious entities in China. I mean, in China, the state is the religion. So any religion that conflicts with the state, China will use any means necessary to restrict or control or even eliminate that religion. And that's what we were seeing here with these lockdowns. So number 4, Supreme Court heard arguments about football coaches' on-field prayer. The Supreme Court heard arguments on Monday in a case involving a high school football coach who was reprimanded for post-game prayers on the football field. He claims that his termination violated his free speech and religious freedom. The school district argues his prayers violated the Constitution because he is a government official, and also because of the coercive effect it might have had on students to join him. The Supreme Court is set to decide before its term ends in June or July. So let me just say this in response to the school district. This is the Word of God. This is the Bible. This is the U.S. Constitution. The Bible upholds the Constitution. The Bible is the philosophical foundation of this document, of the U.S. Constitution. If you remove the Bible from this document, this Constitution is trash. This Constitution will fall. It will not exist. And this nation would not have existed without this Bible. So, as long as the Christian coach was not forcing these players to pray, which he was not, if you look into it, he has every right to express his faith. The faith that inspired this document and the faith that built this great nation. Number 3. FBI warns food plants about cyber attacks as fires burn several facilities. The FBI's Cyber Division published a notice this past week warning about increased cyber attack threats on agricultural co-ops. The notice comes at a time when nearly 24 food processing facilities across Canada and the U.S. have experienced a string of fires, plane crashes, and explosions. This is all happening while the Ukraine-Russia conflict disrupts the global food supply chain. This story was a little suspicious to me, not gonna lie. You know, the FBI said these cyber attacks were done by ransomware actors. What does that even mean? Who are these ransomware actors? Who are these people? Like, does the FBI really not know who these people are? And how did 15 food plants somehow get destroyed in the span of 3 months' time, in the time of an impending global food shortage? I mean, I don't think any of this is coincidence. And according to the FBI, I mean, these cyber attacks will disrupt operations, it will cause huge financial loss, and it will negatively impact the food supply chain, as we know. So I hope the FBI will do more than just warn and inform the food and agriculture sector. I hope they will actually protect them, and by intercepting these cyber attacks. But then again, maybe they don't want to protect them, and I'll just leave it at that. But I think that's very strange. And I think the FBI does have the power to stop that. Number 2, Abbott warns about current border crisis. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said that the current situation at the border is worse than he has ever seen. Abbott said, quote, "Texas is doing everything we possibly can to contain a completely out of control border situation. This is the worst that I have ever seen it," end quote. Texas has taken serious actions at the border, including negotiating deals with Mexican states to creating its own border wall. However, more than 125,000 people were detained at U.S. borders in Texas in March, according to data from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. You know, if only the U.S. federal government would have used that $13 billion that it gave to help secure Ukraine's border right now with the whole invasion, and they would have used that money to secure their own border, the southern border. I mean, this constant border crisis would have instantly ceased. Like, it would have stopped, and then we would stop having to talk about it because it'd be done. If only they would use those resources to protect their own border. You know, a nation without borders is not a nation at all. It's just chaos. And you know, the U.S. has an obligation to secure its own border before trying to secure the borders of foreign countries. I mean, this is just common sense, in my opinion. And number 1, Elon Musk buys Twitter for $44 billion. Twitter has accepted Elon Musk's offer to purchase the company for $44 billion. Musk purchased the company at $54 a share, the same price that was in his initial offer on April 14th. The new Twitter owner said in his release statement, quote, "Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated," end quote. So this story is literally everywhere on the news. I'm sure you heard of it. I love it. I think this is great news. You know, if Musk does what he promises and he does what he says, then we are going to see free speech truly restored on Twitter. And, you know, people who speak the truth, you know, they'll have a platform again to combat the lies without, you know, fear of being censored. So this is really good news. This is a huge win against Orwellian big tech companies like Twitter was. You know, and yeah, it's just a huge win. These people have been trying and have been succeeding for years now to brainwash and control people's opinions. And I think we're going to see that change. So that'll wrap up this week's news roundup. I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you wish to stay informed on current events, you can visit our website at morningstarjournal.com. We are on social media. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Getter, and Telegram at Morningstar Journal News. Subscribe to our YouTube page and our Rumble page, again at Morningstar Journal News. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for next week's News Roundup.